Outbound in 1951 for her first load of iron ore, the CLIFFS Victory joins the fleet of ore carriers on the Great Lakes. Converted from a deep-sea cargo ship in Bethlehem's Baltimore, Maryland yard, she became the first vessel of her size to traverse the Mississippi River and the Illinois waterway en route to Lake Michigan. Pennant of the Cleveland Cliffs Steamship Company, the CLIFFS Victory represents the culmination of an idea conceived by her owners in '50 to speed up the movement of iron ore from the mine storage bins down the Great Lakes to the steel mills during the season of open water. Mainly, the idea was that since the lakes lack sufficient facilities for building more new ore vessels, a cargo ship already built but modified into an ore carrier could be navigated along an inland passage to the lakes at Chicago.
With the United States' entry into the Korean War in 1950, the demand for iron ore in the Great Lakes region skyrocketed. This sudden surge rapidly exceeded the existing hauling capacity of Great Lakes fleets. Companies swiftly ordered new vessels from local shipyards, but they became swamped and could not meet the number of ships needed. The U.S. Maritime Commission made a reserve fleet of merchant World War II cargo ships available for sale to be converted for Great Lakes use. The Great Lakes Vessel Sales Act of 1950 allowed Great Lakes fleets to purchase up to 10 surplus ships by the end of that year, along with a 90% cost subsidy for conversion and refurbishment. Cleveland Cliffs Steamship Company would become the first organization to take advantage of this program by purchasing the Notre Dame Victory on December 10, 1950. This vessel was a VC2 SAP-3 Victory-class cargo ship built in 1945 by the Oregon Shipbuilding Company in Portland, Oregon. The Victory shipbuilding program emerged from the necessity to construct quicker cargo ships during World War II to outrun German U-boats. Unlike Liberty-type cargo vessels that could reach speeds of 11 to 13 knots, the Victory class was designed to attain speeds of 15 to 17 knots.
America, traditionally a maritime nation, mobilizes its mechanical and its industrial genius to build the largest fleet of cargo ships ever to sail the seven seas. The method is unique in all the annals of shipbuilding. Ordering prefabricated ready-made parts from some 500 factories scattered throughout the country, the yards apply mass production technique, and the results are breaking all records. Average time to build a ship during the First World War, 11 months. Record time, 7.5 months. Now they're completing them in 46 days. Victory ships, they call them now. And there they go, eager for the sea. 2 vessels are being delivered every day, 3 a day by the end of the year. Recently, in one 24-hour working day, 27 brand new ships slid down the waves. Nowhere else in all the world is such production possible. The goal for 1943, 23 million tons of shipping.
Following Notre Dame's launch on March 9, 1945, the ship was chartered by the U.S. Maritime Commission to the Inter-Ocean Steamship Company. In 1947, the Moore McCormick Lines took over as charter instead. The vessel faithfully sailed along the eastern seaboard and reached as far as the mouth of the Amazon River until 1948, when it was declared surplus and laid up on the James River near Newport News, Virginia. When Cleveland Cliffs bought the mothballed vessel in 1950, it was towed to Bethlehem Steel's Key Highway Shipyard in Baltimore, Maryland for its rebuild and refit. As designed, Notre Dame Victory was 455 feet in overall length, 62 feet in beam, and had a draft of 28 feet. It had a long and high forecastle, cruiser stern, and its engine, bridge, and crew quarters were all located midship. During the conversion process, they cut the ship in two just forward of her midship engine room in order to add a new 165-foot midsection for extra cargo capacity. What's unique and unusual about its conversion is that the boat had 5 shallow cargo holds in between its stern and rear cabin structures because of its propeller shaft. This also required a second separate traveling hatch crane for these holds. Additionally, the reconstruction involved overhauling the engine, adding side tanks and constructing or removing the spar deck and deck houses to meet Great Lakes standards.
On March 21st, 1951, just 3 months and 2 days after the arrival of the Notre Dame Victory at Bethlehem's Baltimore Yard, the converted ship was ready for her rechristening. Attending these formalities were the sponsor, Mrs. H.L. Gobel, wife of the manager of Cleveland Cliffs Marine Department, J.M. Willis, general manager of Bethlehem's Baltimore District, A.C. Brown, Cleveland Cliffs president, Mr. Gobel, officers of the ship, the mayors of Cleveland and Baltimore, and other guests. Assisted by W.C. Reynolds, manager of the Baltimore Yard, Mrs. Gobel renamed the Notre Dame Victory Cliffs Victory.
Following the christening ceremony, all of its deck machinery, smokestack, masts, and deck houses were removed in preparation for its tow up the Mississippi River. The 3,000-mile journey was a major feat, taking 37 days to complete. In New Orleans, they attached pontoons to its stern hull in order to reduce the boat's draft in shallow areas of the river and locks. 3 barges, loaded to the same draft as the Cliffs Victory, were placed alongside its starboard side as the river steamboat propelled it upriver to Lockport, Illinois. In every town along the way, the huge, slow-moving boat garnered interest and enthusiasm from thousands of spectators, newscasts, and radio stations. Some schools even closed for the day to allow students to witness the largest vessel ever to traverse the Mississippi. On May 9, 1951, the ship reached the South Chicago yard of the American Shipbuilding Company, where they completed this last phase of reconfiguration. This included reinstalling her deck houses, stack, mast, deck machinery, rudder, and propeller. Her cabins were painted olive green, and Cleveland Cliffs' iconic C logo was also placed on its smokestack. 3 weeks after Cliffs Victory's arrival at the yard, she successfully completed her Lake Michigan sea trials on June 3rd. The next day, the boat made its maiden voyage to Marquette, Michigan, where it loaded 13,089 tons of iron ore destined for Cleveland, Ohio. Her delivery at the Cleveland and Pittsburgh dock on June 8th made record time, taking only 37 hours. Normally, this would take other freighters anywhere from 55 to 60 hours, but thanks to Cliffs Victory's 8,500 horsepower steam turbine engines, they could drive the boat while fully loaded at an average speed of 18 miles per hour. This made her the fastest bulk carrier on the Great Lakes. These results impressed other Great Lakes shipping companies so much that they purchased 5 laid-up C4 type ships to convert into lake freighters. Reportedly, Cliffs Victory and the C4 freighter Charles M. White frequently raced each other to see which vessel was the fastest. After one race in 1953, where the White logged the fastest time from Sault Ste. Marie to Duluth, Cliffs Victory beat its record by 2 minutes on May 24, 1954. Over the winter of 1956 to 1957, the Cliffs Victory was lengthened by 96 feet, making her new overall length 716 feet. This effectively made it the longest freighter of the lakes, earning her the unofficial title of Queen of the Lakes. She lost her throne, though, over a year later in 1958 with the launching of the 728-foot Edmund Fitzgerald. Despite this, Cliffs Victory helped the Cleveland Cliffs Iron Company, parent company of their Marine Division, prosper tremendously in the 1960s and 1970s. During her many runs, she quickly became a favorite among boat nerds. Her unusual design was instantly recognizable from a distance, and her fine forward lines made for great photos. In 1972, Cleveland Cliffs won the largest ever contract on the Great Lakes for handling Republic Steel's ore. Ironically, the deal included Cleveland Cliffs taking ownership of Republic's C4 triplets that the Cliffs Victory frequently rivaled. Unfortunately, Cleveland Cliffs lost this contract in 1980 because of a couple of reasons. Republic Steel was moving forward with plans to establish an ore transshipment terminal in Lorain, Ohio. They wanted to use newer 1,000-foot boats that were being built to bring this ore here and have smaller self-unloaders move it up the Cuyahoga River to their mills in Cleveland. These ginormous vessels could carry 3 times the cargo capacity of ships like the CLIFFS Victory. This not only resulted in more profit for vessel owners, but also reduced costs for shippers. Cleveland Cliffs not only lacked a 1,000-footer, but their only 2 self-unloaders on their fleet were too big to navigate up the Cuyahoga River. Losing the contract was a massive blow for Cleveland Cliffs' finances, which was only made worse by a recession that spiraled into a depression-like proportions by 1982. They laid up all but 2 of their freighters, including the costly fuel guzzler CLIFFS Victory, at the close of the 1981 shipping season. In October 1984, the company made a tough decision to abandon its shipping operations. Cleveland Cliffs initially offered to donate the CLIFFS Victory to the Toledo International Park Board to become a museum, but they declined the offer as it would have been too costly to maintain. On October 12, 1985, the Liberian shipping company High International Corporation purchased the ship for scrap. They changed their port of registry to Panama and renamed the ship to Savic, using the S from Cliffs, Vic from Victory, and inserting an A in between. An inexperienced Taiwanese crew, boiler issues, and the collapse of the west wall of Lock 7 in the Welland Canal caused a delay in the boat's departure. Savic finally left South Chicago under its own power on December 17th to refuel at Milwaukee before loading 15,000 tons of scrap. After clearing the canal on Christmas Day, the boat wintered near Montreal, Quebec, where workers welded straps onto stress points of her hull to reinforce it. The 14,000-mile trip took 14 months to reach Masan, South Korea on December 22, 1986, where it was to be dismantled. By the time Savic was fully broken up by March 1987, she claimed yet another record, being the last Victory-class ship to operate anywhere in the world. It's somewhat ironic that the boat would conclude her sailing career in the nation that played the biggest role in granting her a second life on the Great Lakes.